what could happen Saturday to give you legitimate hope for the rest of the season? 300 yards rushing, like Avery going for 100 on the ground, defense pitching a shutout or something, like 6 tackles. These are things that I had written down. Like if you get 6 TFL/sacks, like actually getting pressure behind the line of scrimmage, what can give you legitimate hope? Why are you laughing at me, Cole? Like that's an impossibility. Like why are you laughing at these things that I'm throwing out here? Football teams are allowed to do that. Hello and welcome into another edition of Pregame. I am John Kurtz, joined by Derek Young and Cole Manbeck. We are here to talk about the 1-3 Kansas State Wildcats. They have a massive game against UCF this weekend. Everybody get excited. Stock up for your tailgate, courtesy of our friends at Holiday Distillery. Get your Ben Holiday bottled in bond bourbon, your 360 vodka. You can have a little something for everybody at the tailgate, and it can be ready after the game if K-State's going to be 1-4. So have that on hand. Very, very important this fall. K-State football 2025, brought to you by Booze and our friends at Holiday Distillery. Okay, guys, I got to be honest here. I feel like we need to address the fact that people are going to be tuning in like, all right, time to see the Fremont boys. I'm excited for this. I'm ready for this. What is Cole wearing a Georgia Tech polo? Is DY wearing the UCLA Bruins hat? Like what? It's been a minute since DY was doing the wear a different team gear every single day thing. Cole, we've never really seen it at all before. So Cole, I'm going to need you to address this up front to let everybody know what exactly is going on here. Did you just buy this within the last week?
No, I've had this for about 10 years in the closet. Got it at Top Golf at a charity golf thing. It was laying on a table here in Kansas City. Picked it up, grabbed it, and who knew? 10 years down the road, they'd have a quarterback that plays like Colin Klein, and I support hard-nosed, tough, physical running quarterbacks, and so I have adopted the Ramblin' Wreck as my team of 2025. So dusted this thing off, only worn it twice. Last time I wore it was last year before the Dublin game when they beat Florida State. I wore it out to breakfast. I was telling DY off air, so yeah.
I'm not adopting UCLA for what it's worth.
Yeah. He was a big Nico guy. Yeah.
No. But you know what? If they are going to start their head coaching process, I'll throw my hat into the ring. You like it? You like that?
That was worth it for that one line. That the hat was worth it for that.
Also, if we're going to make this a Kansas State podcast, I'll be like UCLA, maybe the one Power 4 team Kansas State can beat.
Nah, Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech, actually, I went through it. I got to like 5 or 6 last week. At least the product that teams had last week. I could throw Wisconsin in there, Stanford,
North Carolina.
Yeah.
Hey guys, one of these teams is on the schedule already. Okay.
Oklahoma State and West Virginia, but we don't play them.
Yeah. And
West Virginia, I will give West. Sorry, Cole.
It was a letdown spot for them. I guess.
West Virginia's also got like their top 3 running backs are out. They have a quarterback out. They have two receivers out.
Doesn't mean Kansas State can't beat them.
Well, just saying they've been pretty decimated. I'm giving them some credit.
It was good to watch college football last Saturday, and my team of the week was North Texas. Really impressed by their performance against a really stout Army team. Almost 500 yards of offense. Who knew you could do that? And 2 turnover on downs against Army. I didn't know you could get off the field on 4th down against that Army team. So 45 points, over 4 points per drive for North Texas. Really impressive.
They did almost lose a 21-point lead.
They did. Yeah, I flipped back to that, and that was pretty wild.
They had to get overtime to win, but
yeah. But Cole, wasn't the starting quarterback back for Army? I mean, yes, maybe this is a Texas Tech situation where the backup's better, and K-State had to play the tougher quarterback.
No, John. Coleman came in the game for Helms because Helms was destroyed. That's why they got down 21-0. They brought Coleman in, who was the starter. They rallied, and then Coleman gets hurt right in overtime, and the offense goes 4 and out immediately.
See what happens when you run the quarterback, Cole? They get hurt.
Yeah. So it was hilarious because like the only reason Army looked terrible in offense was because Coleman wasn't in the game. Once they went to him, they looked great.
Cole,
they help you when you're on your quarterback, though.
There was so much good football on on Saturday. There was so much good football on.
Actually, not really. So
You
much.
you have a full report of Army, North Texas. Like, why do you do this to yourself? Like, you can watch other games. You can pivot and like
He's
pay
a
attention
void.
to other college football games instead of just things that are like, tangentially related to K-State.
Oh, John, to be completely candid, I had money on Army money line. So shout out Chris Kleiman and the boys for making me think maybe Army actually had some pedigree to them. And, so I was flipping to that game, though. I was not full on.
It was one of the worst Saturdays there'll be this year in terms of product in college football. So it was not many good games. There was one ranked game. Yeah. Come on.
I think there's Auburn, Oklahoma. There was Utah, Texas Tech. There was Illinois, Indiana. That's 3 ranked games, DY. Like there was
Illinois, Indiana was 69-0 or something like that. And Auburn is okay. That doesn't count as a ranked team. Let's be honest.
I don't know. I guess I'm not nearly as cynical. There's an entire Saturday's worth of college football games to watch, and you're watching Army. Cole,
did you see? I did take, because I wanted to watch a bunch of games at once. I took my daughters to a restaurant called The Bar that John and I have watched, rooting for Brad Underwood to lose for Illinois so that we could hire Brad Underwood at one point and get him out of the NCAA tournament. Sorry, Brad, but we were rooting against you that day. And,
I'm sure Brad Underwood's watching the podcast in September 24th.
Brad is a Kansas State alum, and he is likely locked in on the UCF game to see if this football team can get back on the right track. Let's go. Excited for it. Really excited.
Okay, well, here's storyline number 1. And Cole, I mean, just perfectly segueing into this. Hey, you had a bye week. Can this team reinvent itself from a very bad football team into a not very bad football team? Okay. Will we see any kind of schematic changes? Didn't really sound like that from the press conference, but do they experiment more with like a 3-man front? Can the offense do a hard reset on itself? Is there some sort of schematic change? We did hear that Matt Wells and Joe Klanderman stayed around with Chris Kleiman the whole time while some of the players were able to go back home or do whatever for a little while during the bye week. Do we think they've cooked anything up here to make major changes?
I mean, I assume that there will be. I mean, I know that he kind of downplayed it, and I don't know if it's like literally going from an entire scheme to another, but I think there's going to be probably dramatic changes, whether they stick with alignment purposes. Going back and forth between 4-man and 3-man is probably not super ideal, but we'll see what they do on that front. But I think that there will be sizable changes. This was the time to do it. You had a bye week to do it. Chris Kleiman, the last time we talked to him before Monday was right after that Arizona loss, and he was talking about dramatic changes. The fact that he downplayed it and made it sound maybe more personnel oriented when he spoke to the media on Monday is, I just think that if you are going to do a whole lot of X's and O's changes, I don't think you're going to talk about it. So I think that's part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it because we know they're going to be fresh because Chris Kleiman gave them 6 days off from practice over the last, 10, 11 days. So well rested.
They didn't give them that many days off. They practice hard Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And it was the 3 hardest practices of the year from what I gathered. And their best one was Tuesday. So we'll see.
Yeah, and when we do the All-22 film review next week with Curry, we'll definitely be looking to see if they're high-fiving each other more on the sideline, on the field, looking for more celebratory plays to celebrate each other, because we know that was also a talking point this week, that not showing enough emotion and fire, and they watched that on film. So, that's some things they definitely be looking for against UCF. So, I will also be wondering if Matt Wells goes up into the box. Are they going to, they did that with Connor Riley, right? At the end, they moved him down to the field. Actually, I think it's unique in the sense that Kansas State is one team that has both their defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator down on the field. And frankly, I don't love that. I mean, I like sitting up kind of at the midway point in the stadium because I can see the field better. And as an offensive coordinator, I think from an efficiency standpoint, I'd rather you be up in the box, because I think of the mode of communication like this, guys, like LePac up in the box, talking down to Matt Wells, telling him what he's seeing from the aerial point of view, and then Matt Wells relaying that into Avery through the headset technology, and then it shuts off in 15 seconds. I'd rather have Matt Wells straight up there communicating straight to Avery based off what he's seeing from that bird's eye view. So I don't know. Like maybe they'll do something like that. I'd be curious if they shake up that.
Cool. That's an interesting thought because I thought the whole deal with Connor Riley was like, people were concerned about he's the one guy that would actually get in someone's rear end, light him up on the sideline. You can't do that, obviously, if you're up at the booth. Well, I know that Brian LePac's not really like that kind of guy, but someone needs to say something to the offensive line the way that they're playing right now. If someone can be there to, like, I don't know, foment some anger and yell at, like, just something, like, then have Matt Wells get a better bird's eye view of what's going on. Maybe it would be easier to see from up there that running a 4-yard out route every single 1st and 10 is, maybe not that. Maybe there's something else there. Maybe when it's cover 0 and they're bringing everybody, you can make some kind of check up there. Something would be nice.
We can't make a check from up there if it's less than 15 on the play clock anyway.
Well, he could check down. He could radio in down to the sideline coaches and have them hand signal real quick based off the look. So
I don't know that. Theoretically, yes.
Or hey,
I think
next time
do that. Next
time that we see cover 0, because we're going to see it many times throughout games because the book is out. We can run this because I see this from up top.
I wasn't disagreeing with you, Cole. I was just like,
Yes, you were.
no, I was like theoretically, yes. I just part of it's like when they get to the line of scrimmage with 10 seconds, there's not a whole lot you can do, right?
Yeah, look, in all seriousness, Cole, one thing I will say, I know you were that whole thing. We just delivered the last 10 minutes of the show tongue in cheek, right? So I guess I got to pull that out right now to say this. If they're watching film of hey, you guys aren't celebrating enough, I actually they need to see that and realize that I'm actually not that opposed to it. It's just, why wasn't that being done after North Dakota? It was pretty apparent at that point that this team didn't have enough of that. I feel like the too little too late thing is more my issue right now, but you got to go try and salvage whatever you can of the season. I get it. So I guess better late than never with some of that stuff.
I know we're going on a million different angles with this one storyline that we could probably chunk up into different parts, but a little bit of a sense of urgency with maybe tempo to the offense. I think that's when we see Avery Johnson probably at his most effective, but I do understand there is drawback from that because they're getting out snapped each of the last 2 games by around 30 to 35 plays. And obviously that's not a winning formula or a strategy at all. And if you do go fast and it's just a quick 3 and out, you're going to go from being out snapped by 30 plays to probably being out snapped by 40. So I get that. But they need to get to a point where they can be able to do some tempo, I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if tempo is more part of the game plan this week.
They just got to be better if they're going to do that, because if they go tempo and they're not better, they're just going to lose by a lot more. Not that it matters.
The third quarter versus North Dakota, they went tempo and they started to have some success. And then for whatever reason, they slowed it down and things went south again. They just wore North Dakota out as an FCS team. I also, look, we've talked about this so many times that I wouldn't hold your breath, but I just recall last year they played Cincinnati in Manhattan. Avery Johnson was said to be getting healthier at that time, and he went out and ran the ball more against the Bearcats in that game when they blew him out 41-15. After a bye week, we keep hearing him say, well, we want Avery to run more. All right, do I buy it? I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if we actually do see him take off and run more in this game, and there's more design.
I don't know if to be honest, I don't know if that's the case. I guess I would expect the coaches to maybe call more rents because they feel like they have their backs against the wall. So they're going to probably maybe get an extra blocker in there, do some things that they probably manufactured and cooked up in the bye week. That's probably what they were probably cooking up, if I had to guess. Maybe a way to use Avery Johnson's legs. I bet we get more design runs because they talked about it. They were preserving Avery. I think they've heard all the heat now for weeks. I think they feel like their backs against the walls, and now they're going to use it. And we're going to be like, where the hell was this the past so many games? I actually think Avery still has an aversion himself, whether that was
Oh yeah.
taught or coached into him, or that he just chose to implement himself because he wanted to prove people that he could be a pocket passer. Is I think Avery is more of a version to running than the actual coaches at this point.
I agree.
Yeah, John, did you see the chart I sent out last night on K-State quarterbacks since
Carson Coffman.
Yeah, man. Remember when I said, like, Cole, why do you do this to yourself? Why'd you watch an entire, Army
He's a voyeur.
North Texas game? Like, it's the same thing here. Like, you poured over rushing. Look, it's good info. I
Light out, Cole.
The long and short of it is Avery Johnson is about as effective running the football as Carson Kaufman, and is like in the bottom 3 of K-State quarterbacks over the last however many years that was.
Or was a torn up knee Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, I'm not going to read play by play. Just to summarize it, everybody, I looked at all K-State quarterbacks essentially since 2008 and their rushing statistics. And so that comes out to be 27 quarterbacks, though some of the guys are the same guy. Like you'll see Will Howard listed on it multiple times. You'll see Skylar Thompson. So, different seasons these guys were around and their rushing stats. Well, Avery Johnson's attempting 6.3 rushing attempts per game, which includes sacks. That's 24th out of those 27 quarterback in those seasons. And so not getting after it, 2.5 yards per carry. That's 22nd out of those 27, and 15.5 yards per game on the ground. That's 23rd out of those 27. And to what John just summarized, essentially Avery Johnson is running like 2009 and 2010 Carson Kaufman, and Skylar Thompson playing on one leg after the knee injury in 2021. And then Will Howard in 2022, where Will really didn't take off and run much because they didn't have anyone behind him, right? Because Adrian had gotten hurt. And so that's in summary about how how Avery Johnson is running the football right now. The 2 prior seasons, 5.4 yards per carry, 5.7. He's at 2.5 right now. Almost 50 yards per game each of the last 2 seasons. He's at 15.5 right now. So it was just staggering to me. I mean, I thought it'd be a really interesting thing. You think about guys, Jake Waters playing with one shoulder and an injury to that, and he's out there laying it on the line. He attempted almost 13 rushing attempts per game in 2014 with a damaged shoulder and averaged, 40 yards per game on the ground. So let's see more of getting after it on the ground with Avery Johnson.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, everyone's been waiting for me to say this. I mean, Jake Waters cared a lot. Like Jake Waters was he was a dog, certainly from a competitive standpoint. So yeah, that doesn't shock me. And look, I don't mean to Carson Kaufman, no shade. Just running the football was not Carson Kaufman's deal. And I like Carson Kaufman and Grant Gregory. I appreciate both what those guys did for the program in 2009, 2010. They jump-started things and played well above what their talent level was, I think, for those 2 teams. But that's kind of the point here. Like Avery Johnson's talent level, would indicate. And I am definitely with Derek. I think at this point it's more Avery. Now, if you want to talk about chicken or the egg, was it coached into him? Did they tiptoe around this too much and now it's there? We can have that discussion, but I definitely think that it's more there. And I definitely agree with Cole that if we do see all of a sudden if you're the coach, if you're Matt Wells, if you're the coaches right now, you're like, dude, we're 1-3. Like the season is almost lost already. You got to go lay it out on the line. Whatever the best plays are, whatever the best design runs you have, you just go lay it out on the line. If something were to happen, I'm not saying that you want to get anybody hurt or you have disregard for anybody, but the risk of hey, we got to save him because we need to win games in November. No. You got to try and get the season back on the rails right now. There's nothing to be holding back for. There are no plays to be holding back for. So I would assume, Cole, that is correct, that you will see a lot more in terms of creative design runs, or even if it's okay. Sorry, I'm getting it all mixed up. Even if it's quarterback power, dude, even if it's quarterback power, just run quarterback power.
That's why I'm saying get another blocker in the scheme a little bit. I think we're going to see a backs to the wall game plan, and some people might not like that. Obviously, we'll see what happens. But the funny thing is this isn't chicken or the egg. It's open your eyes a little bit. It's as soon as Avery Johnson runs a little bit and breaks off a few of these, it's going to be easier to throw the ball.
Absolutely. But it's also going to piss off Kansas State fans when they see that.
Yeah, it is.
And they look effective, right?
Yep,
Everybody's
absolutely.
where the hell was this?
Yeah. Now, some of this will be contingent on offensive line working, but we'll see.
Well,
Yeah, that's the whole. Well, that's a whole other enchilada, DY. I don't know. Do we have time? What time is it? All right. Speaking of that,
break.
I got some good news. The Chiefs did win a football game on Sunday, so okay, at least there was that. Calling all Chiefs fans, you can be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA field for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Visit chiefs.com/GEHA now. Enter to win a chance to be on the field for a once-in-a-lifetime view of the pregame coin toss. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. We are back in just a moment.
Hey, what's good, everybody? It is Ben Heisler, KCSN betting analyst. We're going to break down the upcoming matchup between UCF and K-State coming up in just a second, but especially for all of those who are still in the state of Missouri, get ready, you guys. The wait is almost over because DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming so soon to the Show Me State. You can actually get signed up today because new Missouri customers can get $300 in bonus bets once it launches on December 1st. You just have to download the app now, place a $5 bet once they go live. It's got everything you need on game day, live in-game bets, touchdown props, payouts that are super fast, all different ways to get in on the action. And when DK Sportsbook is live in Missouri on December 1st, you're going to be betting with the Sportsbook app trusted by millions. It is safe, secure, with super fast money payouts and withdrawals. So let's talk about this matchup. K-State finally coming back, see whether or not things are there for them to turn around. They are a 6.5-point favorite at home against UCF right now. DraftKings indicates that 73% of the bets are on UCF plus 6.5, with the money pretty close by at 70%. Heavy money on the over at 49.5, 82% compared to 80% of the bets. It's an interesting spot for K-State in this game. I'm probably going to stay away from the spread. They haven't done any bettors favors throughout the course of this year. But again, it's a lot of respect given their struggles to still be a near touchdown favorite at home in this matchup. And that's part of the reason that I'm actually going to lean towards the under at 49.5 instead. You kind of put a lot of different things together. I look at UCF. I think this matchup really sets up kind of well for them, right? Been a strong run game. K-State's offense has been a bit inconsistent. Their rush defense has been struggling too. Also look at UCF's defensive profile, right? They're 6th in the nation in scoring defense, number 5 in pass defense. They've been really good in the red zone. Again, whether or not you agree with the fact that K-State just hasn't played anywhere the way that they should, and now they finally had a reset and they pull away. Let's say that happens. I still think the under is in play. We've also seen some sportsbook move from 50.5 down to 49.5. That's where DraftKings is now. I still think that's a decent number to get in on the under. I think this will be a game where you're just not going to see a lot of scoring out of a UCF side. Either K-State pulls away or both teams kind of go back and forth. And we end up seeing maybe like a 27-20 type of game here. So that's the play on my end. Give me the under on 49.5 in this Big 12 matchup. And again, especially if you haven't done it yet, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Please use the code KCSN. That'll allow you to grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live on December 1st. That is code KCSN in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Remember, if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after they're issued. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. All the terms are available at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, second headline this week is that K-State is still a Vegas favorite. You guys were telling me before we hopped on here. I had been seeing 5.5 earlier in the week, now climbing to 6.5. What does Vegas need to see to not make K-State a betting favorite? Now, I understand they're trying to make money, so I guess maybe my question should be, what does the general public need to see to not feel like K-State is going to be a favorite against teams that play hard? I will say that about UCF. I don't know how good they actually are, but they're 3-0 in part because they play hard. Like they're not great. They're not overly talented, but they seem to play with a lot of effort. I do like the effort like Taven Jackson, their quarterback, is playing with right now. He's not the guy that started the year, but they're flawed, but they definitely came out and won the line of scrimmage against North Carolina, which North Carolina is another one of these teams that we talked about, like kind of in the same category as K-State, right? Certainly far less talented, but if you just come out and you're physical and you play hard, you're generally going to beat North Carolina this year, and I think that's been the formula for you're going to beat K-State. I mean, North Dakota came out and played inspired and hard, and they essentially won the game in Manhattan. So I don't know, guys. I'm a little floored that we're still seeing this.
Well, I mean, sometimes the books are a little bit slower to react because I think bettors are a little bit slower to react to a team. I mean, Florida State lost 4 games last year, being a 20-plus point favorite. So you got to think Florida State went 2-10 last year, and they were favored by 20 or more 4 times. So that goes into it, and it's a little bit. I don't know if it's necessarily what books think, but it's definitely trying to capitalize on better behavior here, and I think that's what you're running into. At the same time, UCF is not good. They are tougher, but they are not good, and they are going on the road for the first time as well.
Going on the road, you're playing a team coming off a bye week, Kansas State at home. I'm sure all of that.
It's awful off a bye week when they're climbing.
2-5. Yeah. So, not ideal, but let's try not to be overly negative here, DY.
I know, but you use that as like a reason not to bet UCF, which it might be a reason to bet them.
The other thing is obviously the SP Plus projected UCF to be one of the worst teams in the Big 12. Everybody did, 5.7 wins in the Big 12, projected to be the 15th ranked team in the Big 12 this year. Before the season, Kelly Ford gave K-State a win probability of 82%. And, you looked at the returning production for UCF, 47% overall, 93rd in the country and last in the Big 12. They were 15th in the Big 12 in offensive returning production at 47%, only had one starter back, replaced everybody else on the offense, and then defensive returning production, 48%, last in the Big 12. Starts returning overall 46, 15th in the Big 12. UCF not thought coming into the year to be a team that's going to, even be middle of the pack, thought they'd be the bottom tier in the Big 12. For the various factors I threw in, I could see that being why, some might have Kansas State as a favorite, but Kansas State's been a favorite in all 4 games this year, and we know what's happened. They haven't covered the spread at either game, any of the games, and they've lost all 4. They're 0-4 against the spread this year. You go back to last year, they're now 1-9 against the spread in their last 10 games. And since the start of last season, they're 4-13 against the spread. So a pretty staggering number because we are so used to K-State football overachieving against the spread, not only in the Bill Snyder era, but the first few years of Chris Kleiman was one of the most profitable coaches against the spread as well as an underdog, etc. So, I don't know, John. I just think it's probably UCF going on the road, playing a team off a bye, not thought to be a great team coming into the year in UCF. And so we'll see what happens. I have no faith in what.
Most people see this as a comeback down to earth game for UCF, but I don't know if Kansas State's good enough to make it that way, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like K-State's in a spot now. It's like general rules do not apply, to what you'd be thinking here. This is kind of an exception until proven otherwise. At least to me, that's definitely my take on it. I feel like we had this same sort of conversation about the Arizona game, and it was like, okay, well, this is going to be the last stand, and then we saw maybe the worst game of the year. I don't know. Would you say Arizona was the worst performance that they've had of the season?
First half was for sure.
Well, John KSU_fan had said in a message to us that the yardage rate of 24% against Arizona was the 7th worst in the last 213 games by K-State football. So, yeah, I think you could probably argue that it was the worst of the year. So
basically, it's like a bottom 10 offensive performance in the last 20 years, more or less.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Good stuff. Okay.
I did pick it, though. I picked it.
Let's see.
There wasn't everyone saying this was the last stand. I think Cole and I picked them to lose.
Well, I was using reverse psychology, which didn't even work.
Okay, please put some respect on my name. I picked Arizona to win the game. Like, what are we doing?
Hey.
Okay, I know, but you said Cole and I. I was like, don't.
Well, Cole is it a lead pipe lock. He gets the credit.
I mean, again, to be clear, I was optimistic that K-State would actually still win.
The funny thing, I had a betting sharp about an hour before the game say this is a big jump on Kansas State spot.
But if you want a lock of the week, I guess just go with every team that plays K-State because they're 1-9 against the spread the last time.
And even the sharp was obviously completely off. So,
last thing I've got for you here. What could happen? This is number 3. What could happen to give you legitimate hope for the rest of the season? What could happen? I mean, like, obviously we're talking about winning the game, but is it 300 yards rushing? Is it like Avery running for 100 yards? Yeah, that's a good call, Nick. Thank you. Let's make this the top storyline, brought to you by our friends at Alenco, ALENCO home.com for all your home improvement needs. Great K-State folks who support us here on the show. What could happen Saturday to give you legitimate hope for the rest of the season? 300 yards rushing, like Avery going for 100 on the ground, defense pitching a shutout or something, like 6 tackles. These are things that I had written down. Like if you get 6 TFL/sacks, like actually getting pressure behind the line of scrimmage, what can give you legitimate hope? Why are you laughing at me, Cole? Like that's an impossibility. Like why are you laughing at these things that I'm throwing out here? Football teams are allowed to do that.
Well, 6.5 tackles for loss. 6 tackles for loss. Not even that many, but like we're hoping.
Well, listen, what am I working with here? Like,
okay, so what can happen that would give me hope?
12, Cole, 12 TFLs. Wow. 12 TFLs.
Yeah, I'll be happy with 6. But I'll be nothing. I don't think anything can happen anything can happen against UCF at home. Because to me, like this season's going to be a disappointment if you're 8-4 or worse, and I don't know how they get better than that.
Short and sweet, DY. I got to fill some time here for Alenco and talk to them. So
yeah, give our sponsor their money's worth, okay?
Yeah.
Well, I bet our sponsors agree with me too. So
I would have a similar response, and the fact that like there's probably not a lot that they could do in this game that would make me adjust any expectations or give me a lot of hope, because I hearken back to the Cincinnati game again last year. They were in a tailspin. They came in, they dominated Cincinnati. And then the first play against Iowa State, they pitched the ball and it's ground, and Iowa State gets the ball. And so it looked like much of the same. And so, you're at home. It's a game you should win, regardless of what they do coming off a bye. Like their backs are against the wall. Like you would expect them to win this game. There's nothing that they could do, even in a blowout, that would make me think, oh, this season could be righted. I mean, what honestly would make me think that is if they went to Baylor next week and gave them a game somehow. And if you won that game somehow against the Bears, then I would be back in. But obviously I don't foresee that happening. The irony of all of this, guys, is back in the Iowa State, after post Iowa State, we had said, well, these next 3 games, you're not going to learn anything about Kansas State because they're going to be 3-1. They're games they should all win. And instead what we learned was it's not a good football team.
No, specifically, I said the only thing that you could possibly learn is if they nosedive.
Yeah, it's a bad thing. And I think, we did see that. And so that's what we learned. And now, like UCF, winning this game, looking sharp, it doesn't do a lot for me. It's going to take them doing it over a continued stretch, including et cetera.
Yeah. And, going off a continued stretch, everyone, they called it like an Easter egg in a podcast, but I guess we're in Halloween. So what is this? The candy corn in a podcast or whatever. But I've heard like Kleiman went into halftime in North Dakota and just absolutely exploded, ripped them, got into them, laid into them, all these things, right? Which I think we could have kind of gathered that by the jolt that they got as soon as the second half started against North Dakota. But I think that's the epitome of the season. How long did it last? Like they can't make this thing go for longer than a quarter.
What a quaint time, the third quarter of the North Dakota game. That was the last time I still had legitimate hope for the season, was the third quarter of the North Dakota game. And I'm like, okay, we can exhale. They're going to win this game by like 24. No, all came crashing down. Okay, well, we already got a little bit on UCF. They turned over like 75% of the roster this year with Scott Frost. So I'm sure that made for an interesting deep dive. Cole, what do you have on UCF?
Well, first of all, condolences to UCF on passing Sean Clark, the offensive line coach, in his first year there, and his two children and his wife. It was a very sad deal. Former App State head coach the previous 5 years, and liked watching his football teams play. So that's a tough deal for UCF. Was in the hospital for a couple of weeks and then passed away. So very unfortunate there. I'm sure UCF will come out and play inspired football on behalf of their offensive line coach. So, if you look at UCF overall, let me get down to my numbers here, guys. We already talked about some of the production numbers. Only Paul Rubelt, 6'10", offensive tackle, is their only returning starter on offense. They brought in 17 transfers on that side of the football, a couple of quarterback transfers. And, Taven Jackson is a guy that I really like. I mean, he's a 6'4", 215-pound quarterback. He committed to Tennessee out of high school. DY, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's a guy K-State recruited pretty hard, right? Out of high school.
Well, it was Trace Jackson Davis's younger brother.
Yeah, Trace Jackson Davis, the former Indiana Hoosier basketball player, now in the NBA. A dual threat kind of quarterback that went to Tennessee out of high school, then went to Indiana the last 2 seasons. And in his 2 years, when he did get called upon to have to fill in, 101 of 165 passing, 61%, over 1,200 yards, 7.7 yards per pass attempt, and ran the ball a little bit as well. Well, he didn't start the first game as the starting quarterback, but came in soon after. And, he's 54 of 77 passing, 70% completion percentage for 694 yards and 9 yards per pass attempt, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. So far this season, went 25 of 32 for 223 yards, 78% with 10 carries for 66 yards against North Carolina in their victory this last weekend, where they dominated 34-9. Though his longest completion against UNC was only 20 yards, hit 9 different receivers, didn't take a sack, led an offense that scored on 6 of their 8 possessions. He's number 37 in the country in quarterback rating so far. Again, he was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school. He beat out Jakari Brown for the QB job. Scott Frost said this week, quote, "It's funny, Jakari is such a good runner that sometimes he wants to prove he can throw it. Taven's the opposite. He throws it really well, and now he's realizing he can run too." Does it sound familiar?
Well, Jakari Brown does play some. I mean, they still use him to come in and run the ball sometimes.
It's a good call out too, John, because Jakari Brown ran the ball 9 times for 137 yards so far this year. And he had 5 carries for 106 yards in their season opener versus Jacksonville State. He had 4 for 31 against North Carolina. Last year, you and I were watching the game together, and
Iowa State.
Yeah, he ran the ball against Iowa State for 154 yards on 13 carries. Their other leading rusher, Jaden Nixon, 5'10" senior. He spent his first 3 seasons at Oklahoma State, and he only ran for 500 yards on 110 carries at his time as a Cowboy, less than 4 yards per rush. He went to Western Michigan in 2024. He had 919 yards, 6.4 yards per carry, 12 touchdowns. Well, he got 160 yards on 11 carries for UCF, but 87 of that came on one run. He had 5 carries for 10 yards against UNC. Miles Montgomery's their main back, 41 carries for 149 yards, but just 3.6 yards per carry. He's starting his career at Cincinnati. No receiver on the roster caught a pass for the Knights in 2024. That's just it's crazy the turnover that they've had. Got a couple of receivers with over 100 yards. They got a couple tight ends that have been effective. Dylan Wade, junior tight end, 9 receptions, 101 yards. He had 29 catches for 374 at Maryland last year. And then Kylan Fox, another tight end, he had 74 yards for 6 receptions this year. So that's the offensive side of the football. Defensively, only allowed 26 points in 3 games, allowing only 3.4 yards per rush. Number 8 nationally in pass efficiency defense, number 3 in the Big 12. Only 351 yards allowed through the air in 3 games, 43 of 74 passing against them. 11th in the country at 3.9 yards per play given up. They held UNC to just 4.7 yards per pass attempt, picked them off a couple of times. UNC also just 25 carries for 63 yards, 2.5 yards per carry. They're number 22 nationally in net points per drive at plus 1.63, though that only includes FBS opponents, so only 2 games. And 2.75 points per drive on offense, 40th in the country, 1.12 points per drive defensively. That's 13th in the country. Alex Trench is the defensive coordinator. He took over a unit that was 93rd in the country in points per drive last year. So far, it's been a pleasant surprise. I mean, Grinch wasn't really successful at USC and in his latter years at Oklahoma, but seems to be doing well so far. Defensive line, probably the strong point, guys, of that UCF defense. You look at it, they got Nayeli Kelly, if I can find my pronunciation, Nigel Kelly, I'm sorry, and Malachi Lawrence. They combined for 17.5 tackles for loss and 10 sacks last season. They're back, as well as a couple solid defensive tackles in Horace Lockett and John Walker, and Rodney Laura as well, 6'3", 300-pounder with 3.5 tackles for loss this year.
Can I say about Alex Grinch? I do feel like he turned into a meme, and I feel like he's probably a better coach than what the general college football fan thinks of him, because he struggled at Oklahoma, and then I was going to be the guy to fix it at USC, and people kind of gave Lincoln crap for bringing him there, and then they still struggled. So he has struggled, I guess, at the highest of levels, but I think he is probably still better actually than what people perceive him to be, because Lincoln and USC and the Oklahoma, it just attracted so much attention and so many people looking for ways to pile on that I think he is actually solid.
He was really good at Washington State, John, with Mike Leach. He was, the guy that kind of gave Washington State a defense and Mike Leach a defense, something that his teams weren't known for. And so that he was viewed as a real up and comer after that. And I think he was okay his first year or two at Oklahoma, and then things just kind of trended downward. So I would agree with that. UCF's also holding teams to under 30% on third down, 13 of 44. Well, K-State, 15 of 48 on third downs, 111th in the country, and the worst by far by a K-State football team in a long, long time.
All right. You guys ready for your quick hitters?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to remove I know that football is more important in the grand scheme of things than basketball, because of conference realignment, the future of college athletics, all that stuff. I'm going to ask you to try and remove that from this when I ask this question.
Did you want to take your second break before we do these?
Yeah, I guess we can do that. Okay, we'll take a break. Use that as a tease. Let me give you the question first. I'll let you think about it. More disappointing season, 2024-25 basketball or 2025 football? Okay, think about it. We'll come back with the answer.
What's up, guys? I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network, and I'm here to talk to Kansas City businesses. If you rely on technology, you need an IT support team that's not just another vendor, but a true IT partner. That's why I want to introduce you to my friend and neighbor, KJ Miller. He is a VCIO at ThrottleNet, the Midwest's highest rated and most reviewed IT support company. They've been in business for more than 25 years, helping companies stay secure, productive, and ahead of the curve. They aren't just IT support, but they provide data security, IT strategy, and cloud software services. They do it all, and their reviews show they do it better than anyone else. So if you want to hear about how ThrottleNet can help your local business, join the conversation with myself, KJ Miller from ThrottleNet, and our resident genius from KC Sports Network when it comes to IT, at least as he's affectionately known by us, Mr. Craig Stout. Click the link in the description to hear how ThrottleNet can help you.
My name is Terrell Jolly. A lot of people call me TJ, founder and CEO of Integrity Capital Management. So Integrity Capital Management originally started out as a property management firm, but we slowly transitioned to what is described as an incremental development firm that's focused on situational housing. I know most people say affordable, but we believe in creating housing for people that are actually in need and built to the end user. I believe everyone needs a home, because when you have home, you have hope. The reality is that when you're building a business, one thing you don't think about is like what a true banking relationship means. And, I had the honor and privilege of meeting Debbie early on in my career when I was just trying to get going. And as a small business, it's really challenging at times because people don't understand the concept or not believe the longevity because you're just getting started. But Debbie was willing to take a chance on me, be patient with me. I almost look at it like a grassroots initiative. She's seen and believe what I'm about. Anybody that's really true about their business and want to get some things done, I would definitely trust hands down Emprise, because Deb's team, along with Aaron and Jackie and all the amazing people that work behind the scenes, even from the treasury side, I would say, hey, give them an opportunity, because you won't be disappointed and you will actually be in hands that actually somebody care and that will see you from start to finish.
Cole, we'll start with you. What do you think? You were the one that was slow. You were the one that was slow to come around to basketball last year. Does that make it more disappointing or not?
2025 football, right now is it for me. Obviously, football is such a big deal, and basketball, it was a significant disappointment. Don't get me wrong, but at least there was a fun stretch mixed in there at one point. I'm not sure we're going to get a fun stretch at all with this K-State football team. I mean, when you had the stretch winning at Iowa State, beating KU in Manhattan, winning against Arizona, etc., like at least they gave you a glimmer of hope that they had righted things.
You have more opportunities for a good stretch. Like in football, you almost have to win 3 or 4 in a row to be considered a good stretch. I don't think this team has it in them. So it's easier to have a good stretch in basketball. So that's part of it.
But I will also just say, like, I mean, how many times did we talk, guys, on 3-Mall over the last couple of years that this was the year that football was building toward? Like, this was the season. And look what it is. It's a complete disaster.
Yeah.
So for me, it's hands down football. Also, when you factor in, and I know basketball had a ton of NIL and was in the headlines last year. There's a lot more on this football team. Of course, you're going to have a bigger roster. But when you think about the money and resources, the facilities that have been devoted to this football team and what the coaching staff gets paid, et cetera, like they got to be better. And for me, it's a huge disappointment.
I don't think it's hands down, but I just, because of the stretch, and you don't really get a chance for that at football because it is they football, your windows are probably lesser and smaller. Maybe it's a little different now with the makeup of the Big 12. So I think you have to really capitalize when you get a chance, and to not, I think it's more detrimental. Like basketball, you can just retool your roster and give it another crack at it the next year. And winning the Big 12 is not even like it's nice in basketball winning the Big 12, but winning the Big 12 is even harder than making it deeper into the basketball tournament. So there's also more avenues to kind of be successful in basketball to consider it a successful season. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be number 1 or number 2 in a league. In football, you do. And when you're not, then you feel like you're farther away than what you even might be. And it's hard to retool for the next year as effectively. I think it's just harder in football is what I am saying. So I think that's the answer.
Go. What if I told you they won at Baylor, beat TCU, and won at Kansas?
Okay, then football would be more successful. So that'd be a hell of a stretch, John.
Some of this is projection of what we think they're capable of or not, but we didn't think last year's basketball team was capable of what they pulled off either. So
yeah, Cole. I was thinking about it first. I was like, the stretch that I first was going to give you is I was like, well, what if they beat TCU, won at Kansas, and then beat Texas Tech? And then I was like, no, not even going to go there. Not going to go there. We'll leave that one away. Even though I know it's the Stan, you could pull the Stan Weber thing back out. K-State always beats Texas Tech. Probably not going to happen this year, unfortunately. Okay, which number will be higher? I asked this on the Discord, patreon.com/3ma, if you want to come hang out with us on the Discord. Which number will be higher, K-State football overall losses or K-State basketball conference losses? And we got pretty split responses on this one on the Discord.
It's going to be close to a push, I think. I'll probably see play 20 league games in basketball.
18
now.
18
so
now.
yeah.
Well, that changes the dynamic.
Yep.
And then I'll say basketball losses because 9-9, 9 and 10 and 8. I'll say basketball losses, but it's going to be close.
I'd probably have them both at 8 at the moment.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing, right? You feel like it's like a 4-8 football season, 10-8 sort of basketball season.
And let's be clear, 4-8 football season, I guess that's the magic number, right? Because no K-State football team since Bill Snyder came in, since 1990, has won less than 4 games. Is that correct, John?
I think that is correct. Yeah, the COVID year.
But I will say this: we've been talking, like John's like, how are these guys the favorite? Blah blah blah. Which I get that notion, but if you don't beat UCF, I don't like. Is there 4 wins?
Oh, absolutely not. No, can't. If you don't beat UCF, where are you getting 4 wins? You go to Stillwater maybe and win, and then what else? Colorado maybe.
Colorado maybe the last game at home, but this team will be so mailed in by then. Right? That's a certainty or foregone conclusion. I think Colorado might be more invested. Kansas will be the lone game that you get up for, but they're better, obviously.
You trust these guys to get up for Kansas?
I trust them to get up for one or two games. They will get up for one or two.
Guys, don't talk yourself into Kansas. That game, where is that game being played? That game is not being played. You've got this team handling Kansas, getting K-State.
This team is immature. You know what immature people do? They get up only when they feel like they are invested enough to do. That'll be the one game they get up for, probably, in Texas Tech, and they'll probably lose close to both.
I don't see them handling that environment. Honestly, I could buy the Texas Tech thing more, because Texas Tech will probably be looking at it like, oh, what is that mean? We'll be fine, and they'll at least have a home crowd behind them. I don't see this team handling anything on the road, dude.
The only time that this team will do anything is when they actually give a damn, and those will be the two games, just like Colorado last year. Like, there's the games that they give a damn for.
All right, I know what Cole's answer is to this, because Cole and I are totally on the same page here. I'm interested to see what DY says about this. If you were Joey McGuire right now, would you keep playing Baron Morton, or would you roll with Will Hammond as your starting quarterback?
I would probably go back to Baron Morton, because I don't think there was a problem there. Now, obviously, he's injury prone, but he was playing well, right? And I think
Utah,
right, but I think there's two things in play here, in my opinion. If you go away from Baron Morton, you're probably never going to be able to go back to him if you have to. Like, guys like that will check out. They just got benched, or he will go in the portal. He won't be as invested, probably.
Baron Morton's like a 17th year senior. I don't think the portal's a thing.
Okay, whatever. Like, it's hard to go back to someone like that when you do that to them. So if you needed to, then you're starting to put yourself in a little bit of a bind. When you choose to go away from Baron Morton, I think you have to do it with the idea that you are going to do it for eternity. And the other side of this thing is, Will Hammond looked really good, but he was never schemed or game planned for yet. Like, I am not going to jump to the Will Hammond conclusion until I see him play a team that actually playing for him for an entire week.
Cole, my case, and I'll sorry to jump in here, but this has been one of the drums I've really been beating this week. Texas Tech's all in to go big, right? They're trying to go big. They want to. It's not just look. This team, they showed on Saturday. I still think Utah's pretty good. I mean, Texas Tech can win playoff games if they have a guy that can throw it into tight windows against really good defenses. Baron Morton got picked off twice because he can't. Will Hammond came in and was just slinging that thing into tight window after tight window. And I think you would have thought, hey, this guy's really talented, but he's young. He's a redshirt freshman, can't handle it. He's in there when it's 13-10. Utah has gotten back into a crowd at full throat, and he leads 3 straight touchdown drives. I mean, it sure seems like he's poised. And he also, he rushed for like 7.5 yards a carry. He's a much better runner than Baron Morton. To me, if Texas Tech is going to do more than just win the Big 12 and be just a pawn in the college football playoff, it's got to be with Will Hammond playing quarterback. This show has disrespected Baron Morton probably more than about any show ever, and I actually felt very vindicated watching him against Utah. I was like, yeah, Baron Morton's the quintessential, he's a guy that can just vulture stats against bad teams, but when you need him to go make big throws and big plays against a high quality defense, I don't think he's that guy. And then on top of that, he has the durability issues because the guy slide. He won't protect himself. He was already beat up, and then he won't slide, and then he gets knocked out of the game. So I don't know. That's my case, Cole. Do you have anything to add there?
Did you see when he took the field, right, when Morton went out, and how he got into that huddle and was firing him up and looked confident? His teammates really seemed to rally around him. Look, he's the more talented player. Clearly, it's an experience thing. Do you value experience, or do you value the high ceiling and talent of Will Hammond? I would roll with Will Hammond. Unfortunately for Texas Tech, a perfect excuse would have been if they played this week to rest Baron Morton and get to see another game of Will Hammond playing and use the injury cover as an excuse. Oh, we're just resting Morton and see how Will Hammond looked, but they don't play this week.
Yeah.
So, it sounds like Morton will be healthy by the following game, the following week. So, but I think I would roll with Will Hammond, to be honest.
DY makes a very good point. You are pretty much choosing your direction if you do that. And the thing that you risk is, if Will Hammond is different, doing it week after week, and it's not going as well, now you're kind of in a bind. And defense is like, it's a tough decision. I'm not saying that it's not. Your floor is definitely lower if you go with Will Hammond, but I do think that the ceiling is higher. So anyway, it's a really interesting and good problem. Wouldn't that be a nice problem to have? More likely to appear in the Big 12 championship game: Kansas, BYU, or Arizona State?
Arizona State. They have still, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the Big 12, and it's still not close.
Have you seen their schedule? Could I interest you in their schedule?
Yeah, but I'm just going to take quarterbacks. When you give me those three teams, I'm just going to take the quarterback. Schedule not. Arizona State just beat Baylor. I mean, they could beat anybody. So I'm going Arizona State.
I'm going to take Arizona State. Oh, yeah, put no.
Okay, well, they have TCU at Utah, Texas Tech, Houston, and at Iowa State as their next 5 games.
Yeah, which means they can go up and get all the tiebreakers.
So they TCU at home. They got Houston at home back to back. Is that what you said, or was one of those on the road?
TCU is at home, then they're at Utah, and they have Texas. Then they have Texas Tech at home. That's their next 3.
We just saw what a good quarterback did to the Utah defense. That's what you guys just made the case for last week. Why can't Sam Levitt go to Salt Lake and win?
Will Hammond looked much better on Saturday than Sam Levitt has looked at any point this season.
I think Arizona State has looked bad. I think Sam Levitt has still looked unbelievable.
Do you? I don't think
he's not playing real. I mean, he's running the ball well.
No, I've watched all their games. I think he's doing really good. I think he's being held back by the offense around him for sure, which I did raise as a concern because they did rely on Ken Scadaboo so much.
I think the general consensus from most people has been Sam Levitt's pressing, and he's been okay. I'm pulling up the stats here. 61% completion.
Yeah.
748 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 picks. Solid.
Two of the picks were drops. You had a drop touchdown, could be 7-1.
He's got 219 yards rushing, so he is running the ball pretty well. 50 yards a game.
I think people are jumping to conclusions of both Will Hammond and Sam Levitt right now. But Sam Levitt can go into Salt Lake and win. If Will Hammond can go into Salt Lake and win.
The reason I would consider BYU too, John, but I haven't watched BYU yet this year. Certainly what they've done on paper has been impressive. I haven't watched them play yet.
I don't know if you could say what they've done on paper is impressive either. They're literally untested. Yeah.
Well, East Carolina game and they dominated.
East Carolina beat Coastal like 38-0 and lost by 7 and had the ball at the 7-yard line at NC State. Like East Carolina's, that's a decent game.
And it was on the road.
It was on the road.
So,
I'm a little surprised that BYU. The thing with BYU, their defense is really strong. That defense looks really good. And Bear Bachmeier, they're kind of nursing him along right now, but he's been solid. How much does he have in him as a ceiling? I don't know, and I think that's what ultimately would kind of hamper them there. Guys, KU's got 2 really tough games. Nick, remind me, they have Iowa State and is Texas Tech the other one? Like they've got 2 really difficult games. The rest of it,
they play Texas Tech.
The rest of it is very, very manageable. And Mizzou,
they play Utah at home.
Mizzou looks good.
Their last 2 games of the year, they're going to go to Iowa State and host Utah.
Mizzou looks good. Is Devin Dampier going to be alive by that game? Mizzou looks good. And they had them down by 4 or 5 with like 7 minutes left in the game and a 4th down stop away from getting the ball back. Fresno State is now 4-1. And they just demolished them in week 1. Like they took apart West Virginia, tore them limb from limb on Saturday. I know no one wants to hear that, but Kansas has a shot, man.
Well, they certainly have an advantageous schedule. Especially out of the gate, you start with West Virginia and Cincinnati at home and then go to UCF. It's about as easy as you could hope for. Now, I think UCF on the road could be a little tricky. We'll see what they look like this weekend against K-State. Cincinnati at home could be a little bit tricky. You do have to think about, and I don't think Nebraska is all that good, right? I think it's the same old story with them. They were right there with Michigan, but whatever. Like Cincinnati essentially played a road game in Arrowhead Stadium and could have easily beat Nebraska. So that was a road game, playing for 50,000.
Kansas is not special enough to where they're going to lose a game that they shouldn't lose, and they might win. And they'll probably win a game they shouldn't win, which they'll probably beat Iowa State and Ames because they always beat Iowa State. It seems like so they own the Clones, which is a little interesting. So they'll watch them go to Iowa State and win that and lose like at Arizona or home against Kansas.
All right.
Yeah.
Cincinnati KU game is on at 11 o'clock too. TNT this weekend. So
I don't think they'll play UCF. I think there's a chance UCF only wins like one game the rest of the year. We'll see.
I'm going to skip my last one here. I think we're running a little short on time. Lead pipe lock of the week. Cole's on the board. Got a win last week. Good job, Cole.
He picked the Cats.
I know, and he did it the only way.
2 weeks ago, folks. If you're
2 weeks ago. The only way you know how. Pick against K-State. Pick against K-State covering the spread, and you're going to be in pretty good hands. So Cole is on the board at 1-3. DY and I are 2-2. I actually like a couple things this week, guys. I heavily considered Iowa State minus 5.5 at home against Arizona. Like, tell me all Iowa State has to do is beat Arizona by a touchdown. I really like that, but I think I'm just going to put my money where my mouth is with what I was just talking about. I mean, KU 4.5 minus 4.5 at home against Cincy feels crazy. You know what? Now that I'm talking through it, I don't think Arizona's good at all. Give me Iowa State. That's going to be the lock. Iowa State minus 5.5.
I mean, I keep getting screwed by not going first because you guys keep taking my locks because Clones were my lock. I had a second one, LSU plus 1.5. I think they beat Ole Miss. So.
DY. Ole Miss minus 1.5 is my lock. Have you seen that Ole Miss offense over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, but I think Blake Baker puts Trinidad Chambliss in hell.
Wait. Hold up. Let me see if this will influence either one of your decisions. You guys are not talking about the main storyline that the internet is ablaze about this week with LSU Ole Miss.
Yes, Lane Kiffin.
Lane Kiffin's daughter just went hard launch, announced that she is dating LSU's star linebacker. So how does that factor in here? Somebody is playing mind games with somebody. Does that change your decision at all, Cole?
Tricky. Lane Kiffin being all cerebral here, being a little sneaky here, getting a distraction with that LSU locker room. No, actually it makes me think that Ole Miss even more. Like, look, I'm a little jealous. Ole Miss backup quarterbacks from Ferris State and looks like a star.
I think he's in trouble again. LSU is one of the best defenses there is. So
I think people thought John Summerall and the Tulane defense would give them some fits, and they just roasted them. So
Tulane actually doesn't have a good defense.
Oh, well, I guess I think of Summerall as a really good defensive coordinator, but that adds up. So yeah, I think Ole Miss. I think John's pick's really solid.
I would have felt better about Ole Miss had they sleptwalk through Tulane, but the fact that they didn't sleepwalk through Tulane means they were not thinking about LSU yet. I think LSU's good. It wouldn't surprise me if LSU won 10 or 11 games. So.
It would be an discrepancy of styles there because LSU's offense has.
I also think LSU's offense is better than what meets the eye because Garrett Nussbaum is a really good quarterback. I probably dropped them in the top 5 right now if I'm an NFL team. Like Garrett Nussbauer's that good.
Tulane really beat Duke. I missed that this year. They won.
Then they laid over against Ole Miss. Yeah,
they won the Darian Mensah Bowl. Well, good for them.
That was yeah.
All right. Well, we got some good action this week going with the lock of the week. Here
again, Tulane gave up almost 5 touchdowns to Duke. So,
anyone want to start their UCF prediction? Want to start that around here for us?
Yeah, I can. I'll go quick. It's going to be like the rest of the stuff. Like I think Kansas State gets some juice and energy from a lot of talking points, or when someone rips into them, or when they get all these emphasis. And I think it lasts for a quarter, right? Or it lasts for like every time they get a juice or a jolt, or there is something that they try to infuse, it works, but it doesn't work that long. So I can see Kansas State jumping out to maybe a 14-0 lead and then having to hang on for dear life. I'll say they win because they're at home against a really bad team. Kansas State's really bad too. They might lose, but I'll say they win 31-28.
So DY, you are saying take that first quarter spread. Here is a lot for you then, based on what you just told me. Kansas State minus 1.5 in the first quarter.
Yeah, I actually like that because I think like everything that they've been hearing. So that like when I said they got ripped at halftime against North Dakota, came out great third quarter. Like you got ripped and told everything for 2 weeks. I think you come out and played a really good first quarter, and then the second half or 3 quarters after that, it's basically what we've seen all year, and you have to hold on for dear life if it gets to the team that doesn't belong on the same field as you.
Yeah, -3.5 in the first half if you like that instead. What was your spread? What did you pick for the score again?
Like 31-28. That might be too many points, but who knows?
Yeah. Well, here's the good news. Chris Kleiman's been pretty solid in 11 a.m. kicks, and now back in the comfort zone with back-to-back 11 a.m. kicks. Nobody will be watching the Baylor game on ESPN Plus that week. A little sneaky opportunity to get in there and be a little frisky with the Bears. I'll take Kansas State to win this game. I'll say we'll say 31-21. I'll say they cover the spread.
Hey, you used my score almost. Yeah.
You guys are okay. Not only are you guys both picking K-State to win, but Cole is picking K-State to cover.
Not me. Yeah.
No, I just I don't know. Guess I'm feeling a little frisky today.
Well, you guys told me when I popped on today that K-State doesn't deserve the light, right?
So turning the lights out. Lights out, Kansas
lights
State.
Out, baby. No.
If they lose this, lights out on the season. Whew.
I'm not picking K-State to win a football game right now. I'm picking UCF 27-23. Cole, I feel like Cole, you kind of go through this thing where it's like Arizona game. I feel like it was like last stand. I mean, if they don't do it now, if they don't do this, then season's over. It's done.
I think the season's already over, but
then you talk yourself back into it by the time it comes around to the next game, and now you've talked yourself into a double-digit win against UCF.
I guess part of it's just I still don't.
You want to know one of the reasons why I picked Kansas State, because I didn't think you guys did, and we're a Kansas State podcast. One of them has to pick them to beat UCF at home.
I'm very down on this program, to be clear.
I don't think that they come back to anything that's going to excite anyone or make this that respectable. But I think this is like, if not now, never game in terms of you're going like 3-9 if you lose this. So
yeah, I'm down on the program. This isn't like a last stand moment for me like Arizona, where I thought maybe they'd show something. Like, even if they show something in this one, it doesn't mean a lot to me. But I guess the jury's still out on UCF for me. Obviously, UCF is better than, a couple of the teams probably that K-State's played, but they've lost to or nearly lost to. They're better than North Dakota. We know that.
Yeah.
Shout out to North Dakota for their 58-7 win over Valpo this last weekend. That's right, baby. I'm checking all that shit. So
yeah, I love it.
Well, I'm looking at everything,
What I will say is, like, we've written off the Baylor game, and we should, but Baylor also doesn't have the makeup of a team that can really test Kansas State where they suck at, which is toughness and physicality, because Baylor's not really tough or physical either.
Well, if K-State was solid,
Baylor is finesse.
Yeah, if K-State was solid, that 11 a.m. kick's a dream spot on the road.
Yeah, it is.
That's right where you want on the road, and the atmosphere will be kind of stale. But
Baylor cares more, but they are finesse, just like you.
I like the 23 though, because you're giving a shout out to Kansas State's best player, Luis Rodriguez, banging through 3 field goals.
Exactly, dude. That was 100% when I was going through my thing. I'm like, all right, what's a score that involves a lot of field goals? They'll kick a lot of field. Dude, Luis Rodriguez, awesome. The one bit of intel we got during fall camp that was totally spot on was like, hey, this Luis Rodriguez guy actually has been awesome. And that's the one thing I remember we passed along to the Discord, patreon.com/3ma, if you want more wisdom like that, where it was like, hey, we look smart. That looked right. Luis Rodriguez is great.
Yeah. Everything else, 10 wins by me. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I got tempted by the Luis Rodriguez kicking news, and I pushed them to 10 wins.
Hey, we can still get the 9 in a bowl game and make you 10. There we go.
You hear that, Nick? K-State is going to field goal your ass to death in Lawrence. It's going to be 15.
I can't stay winning 10 games too. I'm not going to bow down here. So yeah,
everything is still on the table, man.
Yeah,
okay?
We can win 10 games.
You win 7 of these last 8, 7-2 in the Big 12. You could be in the Big 12 championship. Should I give another speech? No, I'm not. I'm not giving another motivational speech. Clearly, I did about as well as Ben Newman.
Oh. Cole, that just got me fired up. Turning the light back on. Thank you for that.
Cat's fired.
Let's go. Yes. The light is back on. Kansas State still going to lose.
Lights on. John's picking K-State 3-0. Here we go. Cats by 90. The light's on. You pick K-State. Sorry.
All right. You know what? Fine. Lights back on. I'm going. Let's throw on another couple field. K-State 29, UCF 27 with a Luis Rodriguez 5th field goal of the day.
Peer pressure works, ladies and gentlemen. Peer pressure.
And Kansas State blocks the extra point. Nate Katzer and the special teams come out once again big. And here's a bold prediction, guys. Kansas State ends the streak of turning over the ball on special teams. They have turned it over in 4 games, all 4 games this year. I don't think they get to 5, which would probably be an NCAA record. Hell, they probably already set the NCAA record for special teams turnovers. But
special teams touchdown this week. Let's go.
Yeah. Oh, man, I am feeling good now. Good energy to start the day. John, maybe add a little dash, though, in front of that 90 and make that so into that side. Anyway.
Wait, Cats by 9-0?
Well, I was going to put it in front of the 9, which would be a negative.
Negative 90. Okay. I thought we were choosing like a 9-0.
9-0. I like it, John. I like where your head's at because that means they go 8-0 the rest of the regular season. They win a Big 12 championship, and bada bing, bada boom, here we go. We are dancing in late December, January in the college football playoff. If that happens, folks.
Actually, Cole, I would make the argument you would not be in the college football playoff. You would not be one of the 5 highest ranked conference champions. And,
shit, that would be our luck.
Yeah.
Cole, as he does in every podcast, he just waited to the last possible minute, shows his age with a bada bing, bada boom.
Well,
I kind of like that. If you could drop a bada bing.
We're bringing it back. Bada bing, bada boom.
I'm going to start bringing it back. And just like that, I got to go bring my kids to school now. So,
all right, yeah. Remember, guys, 29-27. 29-27. Thank you, Alenko. Thank you, Holiday. Thank you, Nick Springer. We will talk to you all very soon.